Ashley. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Well, I saw there were other people, but we are still a little early, so
Mhm.
I was excited. At first, I wasn't sure. Not always there isn't always a lot of commissioners that attend conferences,
Ah,
but I do think we have, I believe, around 9 the last I heard, but I'm not sure on that. That could be hopefully more than that now.
it never occurred to me to ask or think how many commissioners there would be. I was just grateful to be able to connect with any other commissioners.
Okay. Oh.
Hopefully, we'll have a few more people join us.
Yeah, there were a few more people that were signed up. It'd suck if it was just us because we all know each other. We know what we want, you know.
Yeah, we're kind of a united front.
Right, because we're also on Residents Organizing for Change, which is a group organizing for housing justice and more housing, more funding. And we work with legislatures in Oregon. And so, and on top of that, we're commissioners for our housing authorities. So, two of us are, Michelle and I are from Eugene, and Tommy Reen is from Portland, Home Forward.
And Rock, that she mentioned, Residents Organizing for Change, we are less than a year old. We're 10 months
Yeah.
old, and a
Oh, wow.
grassroots advocacy network
Mhm.
of people with lived experience and in homelessness. In fact, some of our members are still homeless, living in cars,
Oh, wow.
shelters. Yeah. So
Wow, that's awesome.
Where's our people?
I know.
It's like there were let's see, someone from Washington that signed up, and it just seemed to me there were three. I thought there were 6 of us altogether, but if I go try to check right now, I will screw some up. And I might disappear.
yeah, you know, let's not push
Yeah.
our, yeah.
Wow,
It's new. This is a new thing. These coffee shops, hopefully people will go to them.
Oh,
You know,
well,
this
see,
is
and
not
people are
something we've
just,
ever done before.
and
So,
people are just finishing up lunch break. So, you
mhm.
know,
mhm.
time can kind of slip away when you're not
Yeah.
focused on anything other than your yummy food.
Or they could be a parent or a grandparent like me and have their granddaughter just like turn off the computer like 5 minutes before I was supposed to log on. 'Cause it was grandma's fault though. Grandma forgot to close the gate, and
There you go.
she got into my room, so can't blame her.
I don't know. The more I'm looking at my screen, the more I'm just wanting to bail on the conference and go hang out with those flowers and see where that bridge goes.
One thing about
Yeah,
Cottage
I
Grove,
agree
it's a
with
very
that.
beautiful town.
Oh my
Beautiful.
gosh.
Is-
I've never been there. When COVID is over. Say
Yeah, I've
that
never been to
again.
Oregon at all.
Lots of covered bridges and 2 lakes.
Mhm.
Ooh. When COVID disappears, I'm gonna definitely want
Hope
to
it
do.
disappears. I think
Well,
it's here
I've
to stay
been.
for a while.
I got bit by the travel bug when I went to Los Angeles for the convention back in January, and it's like came home, was looking forward to going up to Renton for this conference, and it's like, nope, you get to do it in your own little apartment. At least we get
Yeah.
to do it. At least we get to do it.
It was a mad rush. We had to change everything on on the planning committee. I mean, we had to drop a bunch of stuff and then I think it was your office, Ashley, that thought of these coffee shops. And
That was
Yeah.
Michael's idea. I think.
yeah, I think it was. And I thought, oh, what a good idea, to get to
Yeah.
know each
Yeah.
other. But we all know each other.
Yeah.
Except for me, I'm the newbie, right?
Right. Oh, Lordy.
It is definitely a task switching from in person to virtual, but I think it's going pretty well.
I don't know if I can get back. Okay, if I disappear a minute, I'll be back. I was gonna see who else was coming.
We will keep calm and carry on.
Okay, let's see. Agenda.
Yeah, I'm trying to work the app myself.
And
I got to say,
Okay.
I was very impressed with the COVID-19 updates this morning.
Did you guys get cut off too?
yes.
Okay.
Right, like the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought my computer crashed and I'm like, what is going on?
It was the entire session, but Michael's gonna make sure that we get that uploaded so that it's recorded, so that everybody can see that.
That was really good information.
It really was. Like,
Um,
now we know we're getting a react. Huh?
Well, here's
We-
my question for you guys. How do you think this virtual inspection is going to play out with the residents?
I think they're gonna hate it. What do you think, Michelle?
I think they're going to, I think the idea of having a resident do that it themselves, that's a problem right there, because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people don't have the mobile technology or the technology know how to do something like that. And then if you're going to send in like a maintenance person or an inspector to come in and have them videotape someone's home, that I think is going to cause another problem, because people don't want people videotaping in their apartment.
I mean, I can just hear the chorus of voices screaming privacy invasion,
Right. And I think we already have maintenance coming in doing things. I don't know. Homes for Good might do that, but I don't foresee it happening. I don't know. Yay, someone else came on.
It'll just be interesting to see what, or
Right.
how agencies decide how.
Right, because we don't know. And then the other thing with that is they could also ask for some kind of waiver. I did see that, and I wanted to ask more questions about that, but we got cut off. So
Yep.
And it's interesting, we are residents as well, so
yeah.
kind of know both angles of it. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. And please,
Yeah, the 3 of us are resident commissioners.
Yeah.
they've decided to mow today. So if you hear a bunch of noise, that's why.
Hello, James.
Hi there.
Hi. Are you coming by phone, or are you coming in by video?
I'm on my computer, but my kids are stealing half the bandwidth, so
I hear you there.
yeah.
Well, we're hoping for more people. It's 1:08, so I'm thinking we ought to go ahead and get started. And unfortunately, James, you got with 3 women who know each other. So we'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll let you go and introduce yourself, and then we're hoping to have a really cool conversation. So my name is Shar Revis, and I am a commissioner and appointed commissioner for Homes for Good, and a resident, and chair of the Homes for Good Board of Commissioners. Tommy Rain, you're next to me, so.
Okay, I am Tommy Reen Hetman. I am resident commissioner for Home Forward here in Portland, Oregon. and also a founding member of Rock, along with Shar and Michelle, who I'm about to kick it to. I'm very happy to be a part of this today with all of you, even though I know most of you already. Michelle, take it away.
Alrighty, I'm Michelle Thurston, also an appointed commissioner for Homes for Good in Lane County, and I live in Cottage Grove, which is southern Lane County. And like Tommy Reen said, also a founding member with Tommy Reen and Shar for Residents Organizing for Change, or ROC.
All right, James, you're up.
Thanks. It's nice to meet everybody. I am James Donnelly. I am not a commissioner. I'm a recovering architect, and I now work for Elevate Energy. We're a nonprofit organization that we're trying to bring energy and water efficiency services to affordable housing providers. So that's my interest in the NARO conference, is trying to make good connections and see if there's any place we can help. So, and we are actually working with Home Forward on the Fairfield acquisition. So if you're familiar with that one, so
Fantastic.
so.
All right.
Can we
Well,
introduce the other one too?
let's introduce Ashley. She's here with us because James can't see her. So, or maybe you can. I don't know. Can you see us, James?
Yeah, I can see you guys in here. Actually, I'll risk it and share my video. It would be unfair of me to see everybody and hi.
Hi.
I'm looking at my little signal bar on the corner, and it's not looking good here.
It's not looking good, right?
So I oftentimes just cut off the video.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley.
I'm Ashley. I work here at the Regional Service Office, actually way down here in Texas. But I'm just here to moderate, so you guys have a wonderful conversation, and I'll just be here listening.
All right. Well, the questions for today, it's sad that we don't have more people here, but how do you like being a commissioner, and how comfortable do you feel on your board? And there's nobody going to say anything. I mean, we actually all like being
I
being
will.
Go ahead, Michelle.
For us in Lane County, Shar and I both have a very unique board in the fact that we are a 7-person board, and 5 of the 7 are actually elected officials, are Lane County commissioners. And needless to say, it can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Challenging.
Challenging.
Yeah, because you're dealing with, quite frankly, you're dealing with politicians that have, I don't want to say agendas, but they have a contingent or a contingency to, they have to work for. So even though, you know, the goal is to have what Homes for Good's best interest in mind, sometimes that gets overplayed by their political role as a Lane County commissioner. So, and being 2 residents who are appointed, or 2 commissioners who are appointed and who happen to be residents, luckily for both Shar and I, we are not to be swept under the rug. And so we are made sure that we're heard and we're understood. And in my opinion, overall, I think we have good respect from our board. It's just different because we're not politicians. But I would like to say Shar and I are always the ones who are the most prepared for every meeting.
It is true. And
You, Tommy Reen.
Go ahead, Tommy Reen, because I wanted to kind of go on what Michelle was saying. So we set a precedent. We set a precedent at our last board meeting for the first time in history that I even have ever known with Homes for Good. We objected to a board order that we didn't feel had gone through the proper channels prior to coming to the board. And we spoke our piece. And when I asked if someone was going to, it was funny. I asked if someone was going to make a motion to approve, and it was dead silence. Nobody moved. And I'm like, oh crap, what do I do now? Because this has never happened before. And then one of our commissioners, she spoke up and she's like, well, I don't really want to call this order because I feel uncomfortable doing that when you and Michelle have just said that you don't think it went right and blah, blah, blah. And it got pulled. And I think that's the first time I'm on my 9th year as being a commissioner. First time that's ever happened in my 9 years. And I don't believe it happened before, because things went from not so great to better as we've been getting new Lane County commissioners throughout the years. So we've got a pretty good board right now, and all of the commissions focused on housing and health and that type of thing. So we're lucky. Go ahead, Tommy Reen.
Congratulations. I love hearing that. I didn't come to the board really as an unknown quantity, because several years prior to my commissionership, I was on the resident advisory committee. And one of the things I am most proud of for having been on the RAC at that time was each year the RAC takes on an additional project, something in addition to whatever's coming through the Home Forward pipeline, something that we feel as residents needs to be addressed. And back then, I believe it was 2014 or 15, we decided safety, specifically emergency, situation safety, and with mainly the thought toward earthquake and weather. And now Home Forward has a complete department that came out of our efforts back then to address. And in fact, what I love most is that this committee, this department, they came up with, the board approved their continuity of services plan in the event of an earthquake, weather, whatever the hell, alien invasion. And I'm not kidding, we voted that in, I think, January or February, right before COVID. And it was so fleshed out that when COVID hit, I wasn't freaking out at all, because I knew that Home Forward was going to be able to handle it. Now, as commissioner, I get to be the RAC liaison between RAC and the Board of Commissioners. And so I have always felt very valued, both back then as a RAC member and now as a commissioner. I know my voice is heard, and in fact, tomorrow night we have a work session, and I am not exactly an agenda point, but I am on the meeting plan in response to some public testimony that we heard at last month's work session, where I was a little horrified by what we heard last month, and I started doing what I thought would be a little research, went down the rabbit hole, and have so much to report back tomorrow night. So I'm gonna mute myself now and listen to somebody else.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how so our resident advisory board is that, so it's RAB, and we have a lot of trouble getting people to stay on the board or come on the board. We are pretty spread out in Lane County because we have like a lot of rural areas, but there are lots of housing. There's lots of housing in the metro area, and it's really hard to get people. And I just wondered, I know Home Forward is much bigger than Homes for Good. However, how do you do with membership on the RAB or RAC or
Rack.
yeah?
Well, Home Forward has always, I mean, from back when I was on the rack the first time, they've done, what they can to make it easy for us. They give us, like each month, well, when we were meeting in person and getting rack packets in the mail, it would come with 2 bus tickets, one to get to the next meeting and to get home from the meeting. If somebody needed to have childcare, then Pam Camber, the RAC staff member, she would arrange, to have childcare on site. There's always a catered dinner, and anybody, whether it's a RAC member, a staff member, somebody there to do public commentary, kids that are there to be watched by the night's
Wow.
babysitter, everybody gets to partake of that. And so, and then we also, try to accommodate that if at last minute you need a ride, we can actually do that. So, and then now with COVID, of course, we're doing it online, and that has presented the same challenges that everybody else has been facing in terms of technology. But we're getting better, and we will have our RAC meeting next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
Well, I saw Laura. Did she get kicked off, or she just disappear? Or
I don't see her on the participants list.
She was there for a second, and then she disappeared.
Maybe she'll be back.
Hopefully. I was all excited that there was someone else,
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to what would you like to see improved on your board?
Ooh.
Don't want to step on any toes with this one. We could just make it a bit generic. However, I think it's a good candid conversation to have, because being a resident and being on the board presents its own challenges. And and then on top of that, go ahead.
Well, one thing for me is that we are short one commissioner on our board, and that has been the case for a while now. We thought we had somebody, and then all of a sudden her husband got a job. I think it was like in Germany, so bye-bye. And so then we had somebody else lined up, and I forget what happened with that, and then COVID happened. So we at this point don't know when we will be able to get that position filled. My term, my 4-year term ends at the end of next year. And at this point, they're telling me, well, don't be surprised if that gets extended because of COVID. And so with the RAC, after our last recruitment back in the early autumn, we ended up with 20 members on the RAC. And then one person had some severe health issues come up, so they had to drop. Usually by the time next recruitment comes around, we've dropped down to probably like 10 to 15, and it's always different reasons, work, what have you. So this year there's no predictions because of COVID. I mean, it's a whole different playing field.
So, do you have two commissioners who are residents on your board, or just one? I mean, what is your board order in that? You know, um, we have two positions on ours that stagger.
It's me.
Just you, just one.
Mhm.
Wow. And we're smaller than you. We're the second largest. You're the first.
But we do. I mean, I do have a co-chair for the rack, and you know, the larger rack. But yeah, right now I represent all of Home Forward's residents, and believe
Wow.
me, I
Full-time job.
well, I take it to heart. I take it to
Yes.
heart. I mean, and the one thing I will always say about this commissionership is not only did Home Forward give me housing that helped save my life, I can say that as a cancer survivor, but it being on the rack and now the board, it has allowed me to take every bit of the crap in my history, my homelessness history, and use it. I mean, to really just like turn that crappy, worthless carbon into a diamond that I can, you know, use as a rock member, as a rack member, as a commissioner, and finally make some sense and gain value from really horrid situations, you know. So,
Michelle, do you have anything?
I'd like there to be more, I guess, training opportunities
Yeah.
for various things like DEI, financial. I know that it's mentioned on our board several times. Every time we get they do the audit, and then they talk about, well, you know, we'll go ahead and do this little class where we'll teach you how all this stuff applies. And I'd like to see some follow through on that, the opportunity to. And I think that oftentimes they forget that, you know, yes, the rest of the board are county commissioners, and so therefore they're quite busy, but you know, it'd still be nice to have that opportunity presented to us board members who'd like to have the opportunity to do that. So I think that's probably my big one.
that breaks my heart because the rack, anytime we want education about something, we let Pam Camber know, and she will seek out which department and who in that department. And
Right.
at the next rack meeting, they, you know, are one or two away, they will end up showing up, and we'll have a whole training, whether it's understanding how to read the budget.
Our RAB does that. Our resident advisory board does that. That's kind of like your RAC. But when you're the documents that we deal as commissioners are completely different. Well, not completely, but oftentimes different than what we deal as RAB members. And I don't know. I like the opportunity to have that extra training that's been offered, but not necessarily followed through on. But that's about it. I mean, I'm quite pleased with how, especially our executive director is extremely proactive in making sure that we are engaged and that we are treated with the utmost respect. As like I said, our board is quite unique with having all elected officials appointed. So our executive director really works hard, in my opinion. I don't know how
he does. He does. Yeah.
He really tries very hard to make sure that we are respected, and if we're not getting the respect, by gosh, he's going to make sure that we do. Very nice.
Yep.
Now, one thing I would like to see, not just for Home Forward, but across the board, is that anybody that serves on a housing authority board, anything related to housing, that they at least once a year need to live in a property like mine for 1 week.
I love that.
Oh,
Right?
see the board, the commissionership through the eyes of a resident. Yeah. Hear it, live it, see it. Yeah.
Experience the downed elevator or the non-working oven or the constant inflow of inspections and work orders and maintenance orders. It would be an interesting, that's something, a good idea. I doubt that would ever happen, but
Right, but it's a great idea. So before we keep discussing, I would like to welcome President of PNRC NARO, Cupid Alexander, he popped in. I was hoping he would. And I was hoping he would we actually have everybody from Oregon, and then we have James. I didn't ask you where you were from, actually, or I didn't catch it when you said, James, and
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. I'm up in Portland.
you're in Portland too. So Oregon people here, except for poor Ashley, who's in Texas. So I was hoping, Cupid, that you could maybe just talk to the commissioners a little bit. There were supposed to be more people that came on, but they didn't. Unmute. He can't hear? Okay. There we go. Oh. So Cupid's having a little problem with the audio, so we'll just keep going until he can get back on. Oh, he unmuted. All right, so
shirt that says I've lived my life through Zoom in 2020 and survived.
right, because whatever can go wrong does, and yeah.
Well, I've often wondered if this is the new normal. So the next time you go out to dinner with people, do you have to like make sure you're unmuted and only one person can talk at a time?
Right.
Otherwise it cuts out. And every now and again somebody just disappears and then it comes back, or
Good point, James.
Yeah, and you don't even worry about it because they disappeared because of Zoom.
I had a jarring experience the other day. I ran down to check the mail. I'm on the second floor, ran down, got back, did
I
not
think I'm
take.
better.
Are you better?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Hey!
Yay!
Okay. I was asked to join. I just wanted to listen in for a little bit. I'm trying to listen into a bunch of different conversations, but I want to first thank Shar, who has pushed for commissioners to be given the space and for us to listen to the wisdom of this group. And she has been a part of our conversation. So you have a very capable leader in the hands of Shar team that has
thank you.
done this work for you and has been carrying your thoughts and your ideas. What I want to be sure of as we go over this next school year is that the ideas that you all generate go to Shar, that she can share with our executive committee and in our board meetings. Those meetings tend to be long, but we're trying to figure out a way to give you more of a platform to share the information and knowledge you all attain and know, whether through lived experience, professional experience, or life experience. So I really thank you all for being a part of this. You're critical and crucial to the mission of not only your housing authority, but NARO. And I look forward to some of the new and engaging ideas that you would have. And I'm here for a couple minutes to kind of hear any concerns or ideas that you want to share with me. And I'll let Shar facilitate that.
All right. So, ideas or concerns. So, Cupid, this group, Michelle Thurston over here is Commissioner for Homes for Good with me, and Tommy Reen is Commissioner for Home Forward, and James is software or something such as that, or some kind of thing to help housing, and wanted to listen in. And so, do you want to say that correctly, James? Because I didn't want
Yeah,
to, you know,
and actually, and I didn't know how that fits in with this conversation, but it seems like I just looked at the topics of the other ones, and this one seemed more fitting. But anyway, Elevate Energy, I'll give you sort of the wider scope. I often call us the Energy Trust of Illinois. So if you're familiar with Energy Trust of Oregon, we do some of that same work in Illinois. The greater part of the organization is 130 some people back in the Chicago area. A couple years ago, they opened an office here in Oregon and put me in charge of filing the invoices anyway. And what we do here is it is focused on housing. The greater part of our organization is not necessarily focused on housing, but we do nonprofits. We have a street light program. We're involved in replacing water lines, and just other advocacy, solar, all of that. And given that we're sort of a nonprofit mission-based organization, we just find places that meet our mission, right? And housing is a big one. And
Okay.
so here in Oregon, it's energy and water use and trying to be more efficient in that.
Mhm.
Yep. I hope that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, James, for, kind of filling this in. I appreciate
so if you guys
that.
want to go to your boards and bring that to their attention.
Okay.
Because I think lowering the costs and, of course, energy burden for the tenants, as well as maintenance for the properties is important.
It's
So,
true.
Yeah.
We just went through a total energy, water saving, all kinds of lights and everything. And there's a pros and cons about how we feel about the water pressure now. But we did work with the company that put them in to get aerators because it was just taking twice as long to do your dishes and your laundry and everything else. So yeah. But there are ways to save water and still have convenience at the same time. You just got to think outside the box, which happened. So I want to give Tommy Reen and Michelle the opportunity to ask Cupid questions. Michelle's got her hand up.
Unmute myself. One thing that I would like to see, but it looks like you addressed it, Cupid, is I'd like to see more interaction with the commissioners throughout the PNRC, especially. It seems like the only time we really see each other is during this conference. And I think that I'd like to see more interaction and more contact with the commissioner's side of things in the PNRC. I think that would be a valuable thing. So that's something I would really like.
Thank you for that. One of the things that I'm contemplating is this next year, especially on these platforms, allowing a report out, because sometimes when we're limited in time, we have to figure out a way to report out some of the good work that you're doing. So I totally hear that. I'll elevate that, and we will create the space. So there's a potential report out from this group about what's happening, what's exciting. What I'll ask from you all is to really create like what a 5-minute report out or a 2-minute report out snapshot would be. And then we'll lead people, if they want more information, to get in contact with you all and set up a meeting. It might be beneficial, and Shar and I can talk about whether we have a mid-year convening for commissioners using Zoom.
Yes, what a wonderful idea.
Right? So where we create your own space and we invite individuals in, and the information is yours, right? And it might be just once a year. So we do this once at like now, and then in 6 months, we have that check-in, and we invite all the commissioners from the Northwest to sign up, and then we host a Zoom meeting, and that's something that Shar and myself and maybe the senior VP of PNRC, Naro, can invite and really listen in, and we'll keep it like an hour, keep it really simple, but we get the names, and then we create that unique space. And then you can even invite your executive directors to sit in and listen, not to talk, but to listen.
I like that. I like that.
Shar, write that down. Shar,
I'm
write it
gonna
down.
write
I'll
that.
forget.
I appreciate that, especially with, I know I'm probably a bit biased because I do know Shar so well, but it is nice being able to talk to someone who is not only a extremely experienced commissioner, who's also been board chair for quite some time, but is also someone who utilizes housing services. And she does have the ability to communicate with commissioners who are not only appointed as residents, but also have other backgrounds as well. And I think that kind of gives that little gateway to bring us all together instead of, residents against the rest of the board. And so I appreciate that, again, I might be a little, I don't know.
Thank you.
It's okay. You can be that in this space.
Okay, good.
It's only us and it being recorded. So
Right. Yeah.
But I do believe that it's nice to be able to communicate with other commissioners and see what's going on, what's working for them, what's not working, what kind of situations they're dealing with and that we're dealing with, and that we can kind of chew things out. And I really like that that biannual
Me too.
time to connect. So I hope that's
my suggestion for this group is that you support Shar. You use this time to kind of frame out what that would look like and what the deliverables are. You all obviously have our PNRC NARO Services office on, so they're recording this, and we'll work with them on creating one time, but this will have to really be pushed by this group to gather what that looks like and figure out what it would be about, what you would like to report on, who the commissioners are going to be, how to get that information out there. And what we do is we supply the information to the PNRC NARO service office, and they'll help us with the work, but this is our work to do.
outstanding.
This is exciting.
Was there one more? Yes. Was there one more question that we had before I go? I have about 4 more minutes. So
Tommy,
I don't have a question, but I love the idea of meeting again in 6 months. And Shar and Michelle and I are also members of ROC, Oregon's new resident-led advisory network. And we have connections with RAP and Run in California, RAP in Washington. And so, yeah, we can get word out. We for ROC being only 10 months old, we are surprisingly connected.
Very, very good. So I'll leave you with some final words and what I would like to see out of this group. I think you all have a unique perspective. I think you have a leadership role. I would love to elevate the voices by creating something uniquely yours. What that looks like for us is this biannual, where it's like, hey, this is the time. Executive directors, you don't do any work. We just want you to listen. And this is where you can get the buy-in from some of the other commissioners, whether they're residents or not. But the narrative has to be created by you all. So Shar, that's going to be a lot of work for you. I will assist where I can, but the goal is to create something and come out of this meeting with something that is uniquely yours that we can elevate to our service office, and they can help us get the word out. But you all would have to carry the meeting. I would, of course, be in it, help facilitate it, but I want everyone to be clear. This is for executive directors and anyone who would like to, management, community, to listen, not to speak. And that's because that's what I'm hearing you all need. So I say, let's create it.
Yes, we do.
Ready for that, Char? Are you ready for that, Char?
I'm ready for that. Yes.
All right, you all.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off because I have to do the NARO 101. If you're not in anything, come join us. I've been saying this
We're
all day.
coming.
We're coming.
NARO 101.
We're coming.
And I will see you all there.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Cupid,
you.
for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm going to step off as well. I appreciate the conversation, everybody, and the chance to introduce myself. And nice to meet you all. And I'm sure we'll see you around.
Thanks.
Thank you, James.
Thank you so
for
much.
listening.
I'm gonna mention you to Home Forward. Trust me.
Right?
Sounds really good. Yeah, please do.
I will.
All right.
And
Thanks so
Shar, I
much.
want you to know that any with the call to action that Cupid just gave you, you need any help
Oh, yeah.
putting, you know, yeah, I was gonna say the two of us have your back.
Well,
You-
thank you. So what he's saying is we need to come up with a plan. And we've got not very many minutes left. Well, almost 15, 16.
Yeah.
Before we head off to the 101. So what do you think?
I like this uniquely perspective. Quite frankly, I don't know where to start.
I don't
But-
either.
I think the first thing would be, you know, making sure that all commissioners are informed of this, come up with a time, a date, and kind of like an agenda and an invite list.
Right. And I think that's where PNRC could come in, because they would have that information, you know, of all the different commissioners. And I like that that when Cupid was talking, that it wouldn't just be resident commissioners, that it'd be other commissioners, because I think that's a two-way street as far as getting to know different perspectives, and
Yeah.
might even be really good for commissioners who are of higher income that are board members to interact with very loud advocates like us that that just want to say, hey, you got to look at the other side of the tracks here,
Yeah.
people. You know, you got to look at where we're coming from. And I would like to think that we might be able to discuss, have a possible policy slot where you know, we've run into the when we set that precedence that we talked about, and the other wherever we talked about it, I don't remember. Oh, to here about, you know, getting a board order pulled. I think that when it comes to policy changes, I think that it's been a long road for Michelle and I to try to get the housing authorities to listen to the RAB and listen to the commissioners who are residents. And I think we've gotten to the point where they now listen, and they know, if we know policy well enough. And I don't know, Michelle. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's why can't I think of her name?
It'll come to you. Maybe
It'll
if
come
I
to me.
start talking.
Yeah,
I'll
because
start
she's
talking for
on
a
the
minute.
commissioners committee. I can't remember her name.
I think a really good starting point for us, in addition to everything that Michelle said, would be to talk to, like, the three of us, get a little Zoom meeting going with Allison and Raina, and say, okay, this is something that, you know.
Right, and then maybe on the rock and wrap and run side of it, we can find other commissioners, because I know there were
That's
some.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know there were some that were commissioners
Yeah.
that were in, especially the conference.
Mhm.
So it might be a good place to come from a different perspective to get commissioners to come in. And I would like another focus to be, and I just want to hear what you guys, there's just such a low turnout of commissioners at conferences. And this year, I think it's bigger. It's better than normal. But I mean, Michelle can tell you, when she went to the commissioners training, there wasn't very many people there that were residents. Right?
I think there was
Okay.
one
You or one other?
What?
besides me, and she
Yeah,
didn't
and
go to the training. I don't believe she actually went to the training, but again, I think the people who did go to the training were only there for the training because they had to be. It's not something that they necessarily
Wanted to be.
not necessarily wanted to be, but you know, they have other things that they need to do, and so this isn't necessarily a priority for them. So we have to make sure that we advocate for their perspective as well, and make sure that they know that we want them there. We want to hear what they have to say. We want them to stay engaged and not, quite frankly, scare them away, because let's face it, resident commissioners are a very powerful voice, and sometimes that might be a little overpowering and a little overwhelming. So
Intimidating.
Yeah. And so I don't know.
And I think there are still equity issues.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, with I think we are treated for the most part equal or equitable. However, I see equity going in one direction right now, and that's understandable.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but
No, but there's more, and it's like
What do you mean by one direction?
So we're working on color,
race.
big time. Race. We're working on race, and what I think is we need to be working on race. We need to be working on
Gender.
Well, yes, everything, all of the above. Low income people.
Social, economical, race,
yes,
sexuality,
all of it.
I mean, it needs to be, and sometimes it feels like, you know,
ADA.
Yeah, disability. Yeah, it seems like sometimes that almost equity, especially now, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but
It's not a bad thing.
Forget that there are other angles of equity and inclusion other than, and it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't know about yours, Tommy Reen, but Shar and I were interviewed for DEI, and then it just kind of fell off we kind of fell off the way.
Yeah, we were supposed to be a part of it.
But, you know, I'm part of other boards as well. And
the diversity, the gender and equity, I mean,
diversity, equity,
the racial and gender equity group with Rock.
What?
No, it's no Homes for Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. They did an interview with us, and you know, what did we see as far as needing this? And it would have been nice for us to get a little more follow through on that. But I'm on other boards, and our board members are fully involved.
Yes.
In what's going on with DEI, and quite frankly, Homes for Good is the only board I am not a part of the DEI discussion or trainings or anything, and it's a little.
Who is a part of that?
They have a staff committee, senior staff, I believe, that is, and we were supposed to be part of that, but it didn't happen. And it is really new, like a year, not even, maybe a year, if that. So it maybe will happen that way, but I would like to, so I see Laura. Can you hear me? Hello?
Unmute?
You're muted. She went away again. That's
real quick. Do we not do the I kind of messages to the side of you, so I'm going to bring it out there in the open there, Shar. It was my understanding, like, we have a president, a VP, a secretary. Do we not have a leader of the commissioners?
Well, we have, what's her name? Why can't I think of her name? I freaking am her friend.
Shaw?
Huh?
Shaw? Last name Shaw?
Might be. No, that's Sunny. she's the president of NARA. Her friend, and she is on the commissioners committee and believes the vice president of that. And I think that's a good point. Let's bring in the commissioners committee on this because we don't really hear much from them.
And who is the commissioner committee? It's really,
We don't know enough about it. Yeah.
I find myself quite an involved person, and I don't know other than you, because you are such a good advocate. You're the one who I have to tell these things to, because I don't know who else is involved. And that's
Right.
kind of disappointing as a commissioner. Are we, is there a reason why that they're not in this group right now? Is there a reason why we're not being communicated with so that we can get some real stuff accomplished?
Mm-hmm.
And this is my first time here, so I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean,
Well, you're doing a darn good job.
I
So
am
we're-
so looking forward to the 101 at 2,
Yeah.
Right. So we're at 154. So we have about 6 minutes, but actually I would like to say 3 minutes, give ourselves a chance to I had to sign in on a different link, so I've got to go out of that and go back to the website and click in.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
afraid that they're going to kick us out early like they did
Before, right? Well, let's make a commitment to keep chatting and any ideas we have put in the commissioner's corner, because Sunny was in there checking it, and I don't know who else is in there looking, and then I had left messages too, hoping more people. Go ahead, Michelle.
I didn't even know we had a commissioner's corner. I just found it it's
I
right
thought,
there.
yeah,
It's somewhere.
yes, it's on the left-hand side. If you just scroll
Scroll down.
down, and it'll say Commissioner's Corner, and basically you can just chat in there, and it's for all the commissioners to talk. So
I like-
now we can promote what Cupid was talking about, and go on from there. So this is exciting. I'm so excited.
I am too.
Leave it to us to get things rolling, ladies.
Right? Are we ever not going to be on a Zoom meeting?
I think the universe wanted it to be this group of people for this coffee shop,
I seriously want those shirts. It's